This is Zoe. She is my 4.5-pound chihuahua. She is almost 5 years old at the end of this month. She's been eating raw for almost 3 months now. She had a wide variety of health issues before. She still does, but they're improved. She had to eat limited ingredient diets beforehand, and after about 3 months of eating them, she would start reacting. As you can see, her legs are still brown a little bit from her licking them from the allergies. Her face used to be all red and itchy, and it's not anymore. What you doing? Eat your food! She's done really well on raw. She is off of an antihistamine and a urine acidifier. Before, she had to take those twice a day. The antihistamine, or else she would rub herself silly on our couches, on us, anything she could. The urine acidifier was so she wouldn't build up crystals in her urine, which she doesn't have a problem with now, and she's had that problem her whole life. She's wearing a dress, and she always wears clothes because Zoe has a condition called color dilution alopecia, where the blue hair on her falls out and doesn't look very pretty. And so she's always cold because her coat is so thin. So she is always wearing a dress. That's one reason, besides the fact that she's a chihuahua, as to why Zoe wears a dress and is always dressed. She loves it, actually. She was feeling a little bit under the weather today. She ate a rotten carrot off my kitchen floor on Wednesday, and she promptly barfed it up on the couch. So she had a little bit of a bacterial overgrowth in her bowel, but we're working with her. We gave her some yogurt and some probiotics, and hopefully that will correct. She wasn't feeling very good. She had to go see the vet, and she had to get some subcutaneous fluids today. But I think she's feeling better now that since she's eating. Zoe, when she refuses food, you know something's wrong with her, and she wouldn't eat breakfast, and she only ate half her dinner last night. But I wasn't too sure as to how Zoe would take to eating raw because she's so little, and I was really nervous about it at first, but she has been remarkable. I've noticed as time goes on, the stronger her jaw gets. She also chews a lot more on bones, like nyla bones and things like those, that she's never really shown an interest in before. So that's helped that way as well. And here's Georgie. He's waiting for his meal. Aren't you, George Porge? I feed them in crates because I've got 5 cats who think that they need to eat the food that the dogs are eating. And while they're all okay, Ziva is still a little bit food protective, so we're working on that. But they don't need to have competition for their meals. So I feed them in their crates. I change their bedding and their blanket every day. Usually I'll have a towel, but they're all in the wash right now, that I'll put over the bedding and then flip it over at night, so they use it twice, and then I discard it, but they're in the wash right now. You can see Zoe takes a little bit longer to eat, but she gets there, but I think part of the reason is today she doesn't feel good. You hear the crunching of the bone? What I fed her was about 1.5 ounces. Normally I only feed her 1 ounce per meal, but because she didn't eat breakfast, I figured it wouldn't hurt to give her a little bit more, and the vet wants her on a bland diet, so chicken only for about a week to calm her belly down. So we're not going to give her anything but chicken, probably for at least 3 or 4 days, and see how she does. If she seems like she's doing okay, then, because she normally gets organs on Tuesdays and Fridays. So if she's doing okay by Tuesday, I might add some organ in there. I'll ask the vet, of course. And you can see Zoe likes to use her feet when she eats. She'll hold it down with her feet. Ziva so far won't touch the meat with her feet. That's beneath her, so to speak. But one thing I love about this is Zoey used to inhale her food so much that she'd choke when she was eating kibble. And you can see it's been 5 minutes and she's still eating. And so I think it also makes her feel more satisfied, so to speak, because that way she didn't just inhale and go, "Where's my food?" See what you doing? You can see she's holding it down with her feet. George, you're okay. You're next. Kind of fascinates me. I love watching them eat raw. I always watch them eat raw. For one thing, there is a choking risk. It's minimal, but it can happen. I used to watch my dogs when they eat kibble, just in case. I know of dogs that have choked to death on kibble. So I always watch them eat, just to make sure that they don't have any problems or that. And it fascinates me. I really like watching them. I think it's really cool. As you can see, the left side of her face is a little bit brown. Zoey's been detoxing, and she's got staining. We are doing things to help that. We switched her to distilled water only, for one thing. And it's getting better, though. As you can see, it's not as bad. But she started cheering after about 2 weeks of eating raw. But it was her body trying to get rid of all the harmful things in it that she's been eating for 5 years. One thing is Zoey only gets bone about 2 or 3 times a week. Otherwise she gets constipated, and that's a good way that you can tell if your dog is getting enough bone in their diet, is by there's poop. If their poops are too white and crumble as soon as they come out, that means there's too much bone. If they're really soft, that generally means if they're soft, it's generally because there's not enough bone. You switched organs, like too much variety too soon. Or something just isn't agreeing with them. But we found that this ratio, she gets it about, like I said, about 3 times a week. That is really good for her. It keeps her stools really small. She poops twice a day now, and they're always really small. Before she was pooping 4 or 5 times a day, so it's really nice. And they're really small. Like having Ziva, the first day she ate kibble, because that's what she was used to. And I wasn't sure if I was keeping her or not until we made that decision. I didn't want to switch her to raw. And so seeing her poops is like, whoa, those are as big as Georgie's, who's my 12-pound Pomeranian. So it's been fascinating to watch and learn. And there she is, kind of holding it down with her foot, just to keep it in position so it doesn't move on her. And I usually will wipe her feet down with a baby wipe after she eats.